What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today I'm going to be going over an updated exotic guide on how to get the Wishender exotic bow now that Forsaken is being transitioned into the free-to-play content as of December 7th. This will mean that all of you free-to-play Guardians will finally have a chance at snagging this amazing bow for yourself. So let's jump in and get started. As always, if you enjoy the video and find it helpful, be sure to hit the like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Now, the Wishender exotic bow is tied to the Shattered Throne dungeon, which will also become available for free-to-play Guardians in December. It's important to note that since its inception, the Wishender quest has been riddled with bugs and confusion on various steps, but as we cover each and every step, I will point out some of the workarounds and issues that most common Guardians end up having throughout this quest process. I will also include as many timestamps as I can for you guys as well, just to be able to easily skip to the phases that you might need help with the most. Now, after completing the Forsaken campaign, Guardians will be presented with an Awoken Talisman from Petravenge. This will need to be presented to the statue of Sjur Eido, which is within the Shattered Throne dungeon after the first boss encounter. So, Guardians will have to enter the Shattered Throne and make it beyond Vorgith, the first boss. To do this, you will first have to navigate through unlocking the seals in the first area. I'm going to put an overhead map to make this a little easier for you guys, but essentially once you defeat the first group of adds, you're going to get a little icon presented to you in the center of the room. It'll have one of these little glyphs that you see on the overhead map. Go to that corresponding location, defeat those adds and the mini boss there, so on and so forth until you've completed all of them, and you'll find yourself back in the center of the area where the door to drop down is. So that way, once you defeat those last final adds, the door will open, you drop down. Once you've made it through the doorway, your next objective is to make it through the descent, and then through the ogres, and down the thrall hallway, and finally to Vorgith, who you will need to defeat in order to acquire the first step of the Wishender quest. I do suggest to have on sniper resistance mods, because there will be a ton of them throughout this dungeon. To defeat Vorgith, you will have to charge 4 perditions by defeating the 4 wizards that spawn in the room. You can do this in a counterclockwise direction around the room, starting at that first location where you first drop down. So kill that wizard, move over, kill the next wizard, and then the next wizard. There's 4 total wizards. Once you kill all 4 of these wizards and pick up the partitions that they are holding onto. If you don't do this quick enough, you are going to end up wiping. So make sure you're doing it as quickly as possible. You will have a counter on your left. Once you defeated all 4 wizards, you'll have the buff. You'll be able to dunk one of those center platforms facing Vorgith himself. So once you dunk, that's going to take his shield down, and you will now be able to apply damage. But beware, once his shield is down, he also starts releasing these tracking orbs that blow up on you. They are extremely painful and will definitely wipe you if you're not careful. Once you've defeated the Vorgith ogre, you will need to interact with the Sjur Eido statue to receive the quest, but many will be surprised to find that there is no quest to be found in your quest logs after interacting with the statue. So, what you will need to do at this point, you can head out of the Shattered Throne and head to the Four-Horn Gulch. It is here that you will discover a secret mission with no name, just question marks, and a orb just like you would see in the Shattered Throne. Now, as you approach the mission icon, you will see a small taken orb that demands you to demonstrate your value. Once you've selected this, you'll be teleported into a secret mission where you will face off against 3 large taken supervisors. After defeating all 3 bosses, you will be given 3 separate tokens, and I apologize to say that I didn't actually get the footage from defeating those 3 bosses for you guys in this video. I ended up getting all of the other footage necessary and saved it all, but somehow it just slipped on saving that particular mission, so I apologize for that. But by any means, once you defeat those 3 bosses, you're given 3 tokens. Now, those 3 tokens are going to be in your quest log, and you're going to need to cleanse each one of those tokens to make them wake up, awoken tokens. Now, you will need to return to the Shattered Throne in order to cleanse these tokens, and each one will require you to complete specific objectives within the Shattered Throne at different parts, and this will require you to purify different spheres or orbs within the Shattered Throne. So let's take a look at what you will need to do for each of the 3 tokens. Token number 1, titled Querum, or Quirum. I'm not sure how each one of these pronounced. I'm sure somebody out there is going to correct me, but this one takes place in the first area of the dungeon where you have to unlock the doors. You will need to complete the token before completing the section, otherwise when you do it, the boss doesn't actually spawn in. So, once you defeat the initial wave of ads that shows you your first glyph, take a left and follow along to acquire the orb at the top of the tower. Now from there, you'll need to turn around and jump across to the rooftops directly ahead of you. And this is where you're going to find towards the back one statue that is missing an orb, just hands wide open. Place the orb here. After a few seconds, you're going to find that 2 huge Minotaur bosses spawn in, one at a time. Watch for their ground stomps, but once you have defeated both of these taken enemies, you will receive a waking token of Querum. Now at this point you can complete the dungeon as normal. Go ahead and unlock the door, drop down into the descent. I'm also including a clip of a nice easy way to get through that first doorway of the descent before you get to the ogre room. But your next objective for tokens is going to be found in that long, dark ogre room. Alright, so token number 2, titled Eravix. This token gets a little trickier than the last one, as you will have to actually cleanse 2 orbs. Once you have managed your way through the descent and to the ogre hallway, you'll begin your cleanse of the Eravix token. To do this, I would advise to clear all of the ogres beforehand, just to make things a little bit easier for you. It's also important to know here that if you have not acquired the checkpoint at the end of the hallway, if you die at any point during this, before getting to the next checkpoint, you're going to have to go all the way back to that top steep at the descent if you die. So keep that in mind as you're going through this process towards that first door at the descent, through the sniper alley, and then finally in that ogre hallway. Now, once you're in the ogre hallway and you've defeated all the ogres, you're going to find that the first orb is going to be on one of the back far end platforms far to the right where you first come into this room. Pick up the orb, and just further to the right, there's going to be a statue up against the wall with its hands open. This is just going to be where you dunk that orb. and as long as you've killed all the ogres, you shouldn't have any problems getting to this point. Now, the second orb can be trickier because once you pick this orb up, it is almost impossible to get back to the spot to pick it up again. And if you end up dying once you drop down, your spawn point is not going to be at the beginning of the checkpoint. You're not going to be able to get the orb again. So the only thing you're going to be able to do if you end up losing the orb or dying, you can jump back up in really difficult ways. I'm not actually going to cover any of those ways right now, but it's slim to almost impossible to get back is the biggest point here. So once you pick up the second orb, it's really imperative that you remain alive. Watch out throughout this thrall hallway. After you pick up the orb, you're just going to navigate throughout the thrall hallway until you get to the bottom drop. On the right side of the wall, there's going to be a statue with its arms open again. Dunk at this point. Watch out for the thrall that spawn immediately after dunking because you still want to remain alive. Now, it's from here that we're going to need to head to a special boss room. So once you've dunked that orb, head into the corridor and take a left. Now, it's here that you're going to have to defeat a special boss just for this token. So once you get into the arena room, you're going to have to defeat a bunch of little scions and thralls as they emerge. After a few moments, the boss, which is called Eravix, will load in. Now, after Eravix is defeated, you will receive a cleansed waking token. There's not much complication around defeating this boss or any of the previous bosses that we've already taken on. Actually, none of the bosses outside of Vorgith are really complicated at all as far as damaging them themselves. Now, token 3, titled Zavoth. For the third and final token, we will need to head to the Vorgith encounter, and this is by far the most difficult token to cleanse, as it's done during the Vorgith encounter. So, to start, you will need to kickstart off the encounter as normal. Cycle through the room to defeat the 4 wizards, and once you've obtained the partitions times 4, you will now be able to get the buff to be able to dunk, which normally brings Vorgith's shield down, which it still brings it down. It's just that the difference here is that instead of attacking Vorgith right now, you're going to need to avoid his tracking orbs and locate the invisible Minotaur that just spawned in the back side of the room. Defeat the Minotaur, and once you have, you will see an orb that spawns in on the platform adjacent to you. Pick it up. Watch out for those orbs though, because they will not stop coming after you and they hurt tremendously. Pick up the orb and head to the far wall. Now you're going to find another statue with its hands wide open. Go ahead and dunk here, but beware of those bombs and the new boss that we just summoned in called Zavoth, along with all of the new ads that just spawned in, including those 4 wizards that will respawn. This is where things can get extremely dicey for solo players. So, playing as a group will make things much easier. You will need to defeat Zavoth in order to cleanse your third token. But once you have done that segment of the quest, it's locked in, meaning that if you don't manage to defeat Vorgith here, you won't have to lose that progress. You won't have to reset the progress. You won't have to do it again. Once you've defeated Zavoth, you're done. As far as things go with that portion of the quest, because you still have to defeat Vorgith in order to interact with the statue of Sjur Eido. So once you defeat Vorgith, go through the alleyway or the hallway back like you did before to interact with the statue of Sjur Eido. Now, once it completes its monologue, you'll be able to interact with it and collect your loot, which will be your very own beautifully crafted Wish Ender exotic bow. Now, the Wish Ender exotic bow has fallen to the shadows over the recent years due to the array of energy exotic bows But that doesn't mean that the Wishender is a bow to rule out, as it can be a very lethal weapon in your arsenal both in PvP and PvE. Queen's Wrath gives you the ability to have true sight when the bow is fully drawn, and with Broadhead, your shots over-penetrate enemies, damaging them both on initial arrow contact and when the arrow exits. Arrows can pierce multiple enemies, and with overload mods for bows, the Wishender is most certainly a worthy bow to add to your loadouts right now. It's important to note that the Tangled Shore will be vaulted in February, with all of its content being removed as well. With that being said, the Wishender very well could be relocated to the exotic kiosk in February, for a large, hefty sum, I can assure you. So if you want to get your hands on it without forking out a ton of resources, definitely get it done now. I hope this clarifies any issues you guys have been having throughout the quest. I wish you guys the best in luck in getting your Wishender. I hope you enjoy it as well once you get it. Let me know what you think about the exotic quest for Wishender or the Wishender itself in the comments below. If you've got any additional tips to help other Guardians out, be sure to let us know as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I hope it's helped. If so, be sure to hit the like button below. It's greatly appreciated and helps support the channel, as does hitting that subscribe button if you're new. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you some happy hunting.